Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Coffee and Podcast. We are on a quest to cultivate freedom for victims of human trafficking, all while drinking wicked, awesome coffee. I'm your host, Philip Clayman. I'm one of the co-founders of Three Tree Coffee in Statesboro, Georgia. And I'm super excited to chat with you today about cold brew. We're diving all into the world of cold brew. What is it? How do you make it? And is this a short-lived trend or is it here to stay? We're going to talk about all that in today's episode, so stay tuned. Cold brew coffee is all the rage right now, and it kind of has been for the past 10 to 15 years. I remember when I first got into coffee in 2011, there weren't very many people offering cold brew. Our own shop had it, but it wasn't a very popular item. Not many people knew what it was. And my goodness, over the past 10 or 15 years, it has just exploded. People now carry it at all shops. If you don't have cold brew, then you're definitely missing out. We get it ordered at Three Tree more and more. It is just a booming market, and it's a growing market. And to kind of back that up, I got a couple of statistics for us about cold brew. The first one is that the cold brew coffee industry was valued at $2.5 billion last year in 2023. $2.5 billion. And this market is expected to grow to $16 billion by 2032. That's a 7 or 8 times multiple, right, of growth when it comes to this cold brew industry. So there's a lot of projections that say that this industry is just going to keep growing. More and more people, more and more consumers are going to want and demand cold brew. The next statistic is that from 2019 to 2023, so over a 4-year span, there was a 60% increase in customers who said that they drink cold brew regularly. And during that same time frame, there was a 32% increase of customers who said that they make their own cold brew at home. So even just from 2019 to 2023, you saw significant growth in customers making their own cold brew or drinking it more regularly. And then the last statistic is kind of in-house. I just was curious for Three Tree what this has looked like. So I compared back in 2017. I went and looked up how much was cold brew ordered, basically as a percentage of all the drinks we sell, how many of those drinks were cold brew. And back in 2017, it was 7%. 7% of all the drinks we sold were cold brew. And in 2023, last year, it was up to 9%. 9% of all the drinks were cold brew. So even there you see growth. And I've seen it myself, not just in the numbers, but more and more customers are asking for it, ordering it. They're changing it up, maybe adding flavors, adding different things to it. So it's definitely a growing market and something that consumers are wanting more and more. So why is cold brew so popular? Well, I've got a couple reasons why I think it's popular. One is that cold brew tends to have a taste that is low in bitterness, acidity, and it's also more smooth. And we're going to get into the reasons as to why that is later on in the episode, so definitely keep listening. But just know for now that cold brew coffee tends to have a very smooth flavor, and it tends to taste lower with bitterness and lower on acidity as well. And a lot of consumers prefer that. Another reason why cold brew seems to be popular is that it actually has a higher caffeine content than other types of coffee drinks. In a cup of cold brew, you can expect about 200 milligrams of caffeine, whereas in a latte, you would only have 120 milligrams. And in a hot cup of coffee, you would have 170 milligrams. So there's more caffeine in cold brew. And once again, we'll unpack why that is in just a little bit. The last reason I think that cold brew is really popular and is growing in popularity is because you can enjoy it in hotter climates. We live in Statesboro, Georgia, and I can't tell you how many times I've been at the farmer's market and people have said, I can't even think about drinking a hot coffee right now. It's 95 degrees. It's incredibly humid. It just doesn't sound enjoyable to drink a hot cup of coffee. But an iced cup of coffee, that sounds refreshing. That sounds good. And so I think that's another reason why cold brew has been growing in popularity, is just because you can enjoy it in more places where it's warmer. It's more enjoyable during hotter seasons. So we've talked a little bit about, what cold brew and the market and the trends and why it's all the rage right now. But let's back up a little bit and just talk about what is cold brew? How do you make it? Well, it's pretty simple. It's actually so simple, it's almost a little strange to say. It's just coffee brewed cold. Cold brewed coffee is coffee brewed cold over a long period of time. And the end result is some of those smoother flavors like we talked about earlier. So let's unpack a little bit of how this process, this cold water process for a long period of time, affects flavor. And to do that, we have to tackle a topic called extraction. Extraction. We talk about this a ton with our staff when we're training at Three Tree. It's so important when we're trying to increase quality of coffee when it comes to brewing. We've got to understand extraction. And extraction is just basically using water to remove flavor compounds, soluble flavor compounds. You're using water to remove flavor from the coffee beans. You're extracting that flavor. And there's a couple things that make cold brew unique when it comes to extraction. The first one is that cold brew is an immersion style brewing method compared to a drip style brewing method. With hot coffee, a good comparison would be a French press versus maybe a coffee pot. If you've ever used a French press at home, you've got your glass, beautiful glass French press. You put the grounds in there, coffee grounds, and then you add hot water, right? And the grounds just sit in the water. They're just taking a bath in the water until you use the press of the French press to remove the grounds out of the water. And with a coffee pot, you're actually dripping that hot water over the grounds. And at some point, that water is going to drip all the way through and be done extracting. It's not just, the grounds are not just sitting in water, they're dripping through, almost more like a percolation style. And so with cold brew, it's an immersion style brew. And that's one of the primary reasons why cold brew has definitely a richer, smoother flavor. Most of the times with immersion style brewers, whether hot or cold, you're going to get just richer flavors, denser flavors. This is also one of the reasons why cold brew has more caffeine. When the grounds are just sitting in the water, you're going to keep getting more and more caffeine as long as you let the grounds sit in the water. So this is one of the reasons why cold brew has more caffeine. It's got kind of a richer, denser flavor is because it's an immersion style brew, just grounds sitting in water. The next reason why extraction's a little different with cold brew is because you're using cold water. That's different, right? Well, what's the effect there? Well, one of the effects is that cold water will produce a longer, slower extraction time. A longer, slower extraction time. The reason being is because the molecules in hot water are moving really fast. They've got a lot of energy and they're moving around really quickly. Whereas the molecules in cold water move really slowly. They don't have a lot of energy and they're not moving very fast. And so the difference is that when you're brewing coffee with hot water, the fast moving molecules will create more extraction. They're bumping into each other more, they're moving around faster, and they're removing the soluble flavors quicker. So with a hot cup of coffee, it may take 4 minutes to make, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, because hot water is extracting quickly. When you're using cold water with slow molecules, it's going to extract much slower. Therefore, you need to extract for a longer period of time. You need to let the cold brew sit for a while. And so it's common for cold brew recipes to be anywhere between 16 to 24 hours long, where you are letting the ground sit in water for that long with cold water. I have kind of a nerdy example or a goofy example of this hot water molecules versus cold water molecules. I kind of picture as if I were to have all five of my children get on the trampoline at the same time. If they have really low energy and they're moving slowly, they're less likely to bump into each other or collide. It's a little more of a controlled environment and not very high energy, right? Whereas if they were super hyped up on sweets and all sorts of stuff and they're running around like crazy in this confined space on the trampoline, they're going to bump into each other a lot. They're going to hit each other a lot. There's going to be a lot of scrapes, hits. running into each other. And it's kind of a silly example, but with hot water, you have molecules that are being much more chaotic, quick, and they're hitting the coffee a lot more with a lot more force. You're going to get a lot more extraction. Whereas with cold water, slow molecules, slow extraction, hence why cold brew takes longer. All right, and then the last reason why cold brew is going to taste different when it comes to extraction, it comes back to this cold water thought, but this time it has to do with how there are certain flavor compounds that simply will not be extracted well with colder temperatures, whereas there's flavor compounds that will be extracted better with hotter temperatures. And some of these flavor compounds are some of your brighter, more acidic sort of flavors. And so this is one of the reasons why cold brew has a pretty consistent taste of being smooth, low acid, low bitter, and just kind of a smooth, sweet cup of coffee. And it's really good. It is not very diverse. There's different cold brew recipes. We even have our own cold brew blend that I think tastes really good and it's unique. But you can take a lot of coffees, different coffees, brew them all as a cold brew, and they're going to all start tasting a little more similar, maybe not as diverse compared to their hot coffee format, right? And so cold water extracts just different flavor compounds. And these are some of the reasons why cold brew is such a unique brewing method. It's an immersion style brew. The cold water is moving slowly, so it's a slow, long extraction. And most of the flavor compounds coming through are more of your dense, sweeter flavors. I think this is one of the reasons why it's become such a popular hit. A lot of people really enjoy that. I think acidity in coffee can sometimes make people a little nervous or a little scared, whereas acidity in coffee is usually a desired thing, at least in the specialty coffee world. Doesn't mean you have to like it, but that's something that's usually desired, and you're not going to get that very much with cold brewed coffee. So, is there an alternative to cold brewed coffee? Well, yes, there is. There's a lot of different alternatives, but most of them can kind of be bunched into some umbrella category of called snap chilled or chilled coffee. So it's brewed hot initially, but then it's immediately flash chilled to keep some of those brighter, exciting flavors, but have it in a cold, refreshing format. And it was quick. One style where this is popular is just doing an iced pour over. If you make a pour over at home, you would want to make sure that you have a little bit of a higher concentration of coffee grounds, since the ice will dilute the hot coffee. But basically, you just brew coffee hot, let it drip over ice, and as long as the coffee is concentrated enough, it's all going to dilute into a really nice, delicious beverage. Well, one of the other ways that this can be done is something that Three Tree has actually done. We've partnered with a co-packer called Snap Chill. They've got amazing technology where on a mass scale, they can brew coffee hot and then immediately flash chill it and make it cold. So it's in a cold format, but with hot, nice flavors. And so if you're watching this on video, I'm holding it right in front of you right now. This is a brand new product that we just unveiled. It is called our canned snap chilled coffee. And it's going to keep some of those brighter flavors, like we mentioned with hot coffee, but it's just in a cold coffee format and it's a ready to drink product. Now, with cold brew, is this trend going to keep growing, or is it just a really short lived thing? I think it's going to keep growing, and some of our statistics earlier obviously back that up. As I just see consumers day in and day out of our shops, this is becoming more and more of an expectation and more of a desired product. I also think ready to drink products, RTD products, are going to be more and more important. Consumers more and more want convenience. And that's why we at Three Tree just released this canned snap chilled coffee, is because we know that people want something quicker. They want to grab and go. Maybe they want to order a 4-pack and keep it at home. So that way they can just grab it as they go from home to work and they don't even have to stop at the coffee shop. I think you're going to see this cold brew trend and especially this ready to drink trend keep growing. And you can't really make ready to drink products hot. You can't bottle a 190-degree drink. It's not going to work very well and it's not going to stay hot. Whereas with cold drinks, it can be prepared in more of a convenient fashion, which is one of the reasons why I think this industry is just going to continue to grow. So there you have it. That's what cold brew coffee is. It's coffee brewed cold over a long period of time. And because of the way it's brewed, it just has a different extraction, which produces a different flavor. It's going to be rich and smooth and sweet. So, how can you drink cold coffee at home? Well, I have two options for you from Three Tree. The first one is what I've already mentioned is we just unveiled our new canned snap chill coffee. I'm super pumped about it. Here's a 4-pack of it of our Kenya Nyeri coffee. We are so excited. We cannot believe how delicious these coffees are tasting. It's all of the bright, wonderful, fruity flavors that you taste in the coffee hot, but it's cold, which is just awesome. On top of that, it's actually shelf stable, so you don't have to refrigerate it to keep it food safe. We encourage you to drink it cold, but you don't have to. And it tastes incredible. So this is available online. It can be ordered and shipped. You can also find it in our coffee shops. So definitely check out our canned snap chilled coffee if you're looking for a quick and easy way to make a iced coffee beverage at home. But there's another way that you can do this. And this is the one that I actually encourage the most. You can join our club. We have a club called the Coffee and Club. It's kind of in tandem with this Coffee and podcast. And basically, we just send coffee to your door every month. It's a coffee subscription. You get coffee automatically sent to your door every month. And the coffee for April is our cold brew blend. Our cold brew blend is a Honduras coffee mixed with a Papua New Guinea coffee, mixed with an Ethiopian coffee, and a really delicious flavor. All of our club members for this month, April, get the cold brew blend, which here it is right there. They're also going to get this cold brew bag by Alto. We're sending a free cold brew bag to anyone who is a part of the club this month so that you can make your own cold brew at home. We're going to provide instructions so that way you can give it a try and see how you can make coffee at home, cold brew coffee at home, and what it tastes like. And the other free thing we're throwing in with the club for this month only, for April only, is a free can of the Snap Chill coffee. So you don't even have to go order it. If you just go subscribe and join the club, you're going to get a free can of Snap Chilled coffee. You're going to get our cold brew blend along with a bag and instructions on how to brew it. So give it a try. Go check out threetreecoffee.com/club to learn more. You also get to be a part of a Facebook group where we give some unique videos every month about what club members are getting, what we're tasting, and we throw in freebies pretty often. So definitely go check out the Coffee and Club at threetreecoffee.com/club. And that's probably one of your easiest ways to dive into the cold brew, cold coffee game. Well, I hope you learned something new about coffee and specifically cold brewed coffee today. It's a super fun product. Give it a try next time you're at a coffee shop, or heck, subscribe to the club, and that way you can give it a try from us as well. And we appreciate you joining. Once again, I'm your host, Philip Clayman, and we thank you for helping us cultivate freedom.